Sandra Kirkland, Manager of Professional Development for the Royal LePage Corporate Brokerages. Today, I sat down with Melissa Cescon and Alexandra Antidormi from the Melissa Cescon team of Royal LePage Real Estate Services Limited Brokerage to talk about their successes and their experiences at a virtual open house that they held live streamed to Facebook last weekend.
So if we can rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, not knowing what to expect, I don't think that we're being overly zealous in saying that we definitely were on the higher end of that scale. And we have a number of reasons for saying why. And
live. We played around with it a couple weekends before even having the technology available to on realtor.ca. But it was definitely in the prep work. We created a little bit of a script to go off of, and you really wanted to showcase the home as if you were bringing your potential prospect buyer to the listing.
Imagine you are preparing for an open house and you have people walking through. You've got to have the answers to the questions at the top of your head anyway. So you are doing some level of prep work, right? So we looked at it and said, what would we do if someone knocked on the door and said, hey, can you show me through this home? So ahead of the actual virtual open house, about a half an hour before, we arrived at the house. And because Alex and I were together and she was doing the videography, we actually talked about how we wanted to flow through the home. And we actually talked about areas that we wanted to focus on that we thought were prime selling features so that Alex could pan and take her time panning through those areas. So if you recall, we took a really long pan of the kitchen and we really made a focus on opening up the integrated garbage and the beautiful extra shelving that they had in storage area. And then we also did a really great pan of the whole space relative to the living room and dining room. So we could really showcase that it was open. When we talked about the windows bringing in a lot of natural sunlight, well, that's not a big point. But the fact that this was a southwesterly facing home, that you will get natural sunlight all day long, made it big enough for us to make a big deal about it, and made it big enough that Alex spent considerable amount of time actually showing 1, 2, 3, 10 windows on the one side of the home, going right through to the back. So I think you have to really sit back and go, if I'm going to do this, what's going to sell the house? Walking in and saying, this is the kitchen, this is the living room, oh my God, look how big it is, it's not going to work. And it's not going to attract enough attention.
What was the feedback from your database, from clients and your friends who were not realtors? What was their feedback like?
We're only 1 week new into this technically on realtor.ca, and I've had 2 outside inquiries come in from agents who said that their clients saw it on realtor.ca. And we're working with one agent right now to get them to come in to do a personal showing, a private viewing. So to me, 1 week into this whole process, 1 week of it being in brand new technology, nobody really knowing what they're doing, if you think about it overall, like, let's be honest, let's call a spade a spade. We're all kind of just looking at the notes and doing something. I think that is pretty fabulous. Plus, it's impressive actually. Plus, I got PMs from people who I am friends or acquaintances with on Facebook, who over the years, I know them to be trusted. Like, it's not a funny acquaintance or what have you. And they're like, wow, I didn't realize that property is out there in Bronte. Tell me more. Well, what would you like to know? We're PMing back and forth right now. So to me, where do we have to go from here? We've got nowhere to go but up. Mm-hmm. Like, if this is the response we're getting in the first week, can you imagine when people are starting to realize this is the new norm, the response that we're going to get moving forward? When people know, oh, on Saturday at 2:00, let's tune in and see what open houses are out there. And they can go open house hopping virtually. It's going to be, and I really have to say this, I'm almost thinking it will be a new component. If it's not the only component of how we're offering open houses, I think it's going to be a new alternative or option and service that we're eventually going to have to offer our clients, because clients are going to say, for my own safety, I don't want strangers traipsing through my home. So I would prefer them to see the virtual open house first. And then if they've seen it, if they still want to come in, they can come in for a private showing. And I can see that eventually happening. Yeah. So
Yeah. In the first couple instances, it really was about that trial and error. So we did one prior to it being connected to realtor.ca, and we realized after looking at it is that you have to be closer to the person whom is speaking. So if I was videographing Melissa, I'd have to be in very close proximity in order to pick up on her voice, and also to minimize if, you know, there's wind outside or cars moving in the background and whatnot. So just staying close to the person who's speaking is definitely one of the things that you would want to keep in mind, and, you know, practice along. Even if you do one that's pre-recorded before going live to get that practice underneath your belt, that's a good way to manage what it is that you're going to be posting online afterwards as well. And then in terms of something doing differently in the future, we are excited that we've ordered a mic. So we're going to mic ourselves up in order to be louder on the videos. So that will be really exciting. It should be here soon. So
now, do you guys intend on doing another live stream open house for Tradewind, or do you think that that's enough and now it's time to move on to other properties?
Yeah, so what we've done for this coming weekend, because we thought, well, you know what, we've just done the live and we're gonna use it for a bit, right? We're gonna take advantage of what we did. It was a successful one. It was received well, and because we have other listings coming up, you know, we want to make sure that we allocate our time appropriately. So for this weekend, for sure, Saturday and Sunday, we're using the pre-recorded. In about a week or two's time, if it hasn't sold, we will definitely be considering doing a new live one. And again, we'll have probably new equipment by that time. It should be the new improved version. And it just gives people this freshness. Maybe someone in the first round didn't catch that open house, not really interested because it's too old, but they may be very interested because it's a brand new one. So I think people look at dates and they say, oh, this is new. I haven't seen this one yet. And they would come in. So I see tremendous value in that.
it does definitely give an opportunity for new viewers to join you if they've missed the first one when you did it live. But once you go live, it gives an opportunity to gain new followers and new audience, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram, depending on where you're advertising for your virtual open house, whatever platform that may be. When we do pre-recorded, so one that we just did a few days ago to post for this weekend, it gives an opportunity. So then we now have a YouTube link, and then we take that YouTube link and we post it onto our OmDrive or Trevor, whichever board, so that it can be accessible to realtor.ca. So, I mean, whether you're doing it live or pre-recorded, the live really gets your follower base. Give people a reason to come back to you, give people a reason to keep viewing you. The pre-recorded, you know, if you're still camera shy or you just want to get your listing out there for a virtual open house, then absolutely. I mean, both are fantastic, but if you're really trying to, you know, capture your audience, definitely go live.
Can you talk a little bit about how you figured out how to do all of this? Because I think a lot of realtors right now are overwhelmed with YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Well, how do I get the links? Where do I go? How do I upload it? How did you guys learn this?
Do you want the honest truth?
Yeah.
Like, I am going to tell you, sometimes we get bored in our business and we go, oh my God, we're going to have to do this virtual open house. And we start talking about it and say, let's not just jump into it. Can you just videograph me? So I'm walking through the house and I'm going, boop, boop, boop. There's a ton of bloopers. We're laughing our heads off. Like, we're actually, and it's not going anywhere. We're not doing anything with it. We're just starting to get familiar with, what do I sound like? Oh my God, I hate my voice. Oh, I'm never going to wear my hair like that, or whatever. Get that all out of the way. Do it. Have fun. Have your husband, if you're at home, if you're in isolation with just your husband, heaven forbid, have him videograph you going through your own home and talking about, and see where your comfort level is. See where you don't feel comfortable and what have you. Take it and study it. Like, I'm not kidding you. This is also interesting too. You wrote and you said, wow, this was an amazing video. Can I tell you the honest truth? Yesterday was the first time at 11 o'clock at night that I actually looked at the video. the first time, because it's not that I was too afraid to look at my own video, but I thought, well, all these people are coming back saying, wow, you did a fabulous job. I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. Wow. Thank you for the information. Da-da. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't look at that. There's no way. To this day, I'm still critical of myself. So the only reason I looked at the video last night at 11 o'clock, Sandra, is because I knew we were talking today. That's the only reason. So I urge people, when you take the video, sit down with a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, whatever it is, and look at it and go, oh, ooh, okay, I'm never going to do that again. Or I kind of like that. That's cool. That gives you confidence. That's the first thing. That's the first step. Play with it before you even attempt. And then in terms of going live, that's pretty scary. Alex, you know what are your comments?
You know, and we kind of played around with this. I mean, sure, we did it together, so we were able to bounce a little bit of the feedback off and on one another and create that dialogue throughout the whole entire home. Yes, there's one sense where you want to be scripted in the sense where you know that home inside and out as if you were taking any prospect buyer through there. But when there is a dull moment, add your own personality and flair in there and just be yourself, because like I said, you want people to keep coming back for more. Yes, they're coming back for the home, but you also want them to come back to you. And a good idea or something that you can implement into that dialogue is constantly thank your viewers for coming to see the video throughout the whole entire live, and say thank you so much for joining us today. Reiterate the address that you're at. It's all of those little tips and tricks that we learned along the way that really go the extra mile in terms of even the comments that we received back. Oh my goodness, I thought it was so great that you kept reiterating the address that you were at. I thought it was so great that you kept re-entering that one bedroom that had the office nook with the skylight and the natural light coming in, right? So you want to give you want to give a reason for the people to come back to you.
Something else you said, which I believe is the crux of our industry that a lot of people really struggle to balance, is that while your primary goal obviously is to represent your seller in properly marketing and selling ultimately that property, your secondary priority is to continue to grow your business and to continue to paint yourselves in a light that puts you above and beyond your competitors. And so making sure that you are displaying a little bit of your own personality and being genuine, so that the viewers who maybe have never met you before, have maybe never even heard of you beyond maybe seeing your faces on a billboard on Burl Oak, which I drive past all the time because it's near my house. Now they're actually looking at you and they're saying, oh, I've seen her face on that billboard on Burl Oak. This is Melissa Cescon and her team. Oh, well, they seem lovely. And being able to not be so rigid and just, reading off of a script, but being yourselves makes you more approachable. And even if they're not interested in that property, you may have been able to convert them enough to say, I want to work with this team when I'm looking to buy or sell a property.
Well, and you also struck a point with me here now, Sandra, when you're saying the genuinity and sincerity, when we were talking about the quality of comments that we've been getting coming back to us. And they were talking about our personality shining through. We had at least 4, if I'm going to be super honest, at least 4 comments that came back and said, wow, you know what? Your personalities, your sincerity, they talked about sincerity coming through. And they said it matches your photos, right? So my point is, they must have Googled us. They must have looked at our website. They must have seen, and then they listened to whether it was the pre-recorded or the live. Regardless, they came back to us and said, it matches. Your photos match who you are doing this video. And to me, that was huge. In a time on there, but your client goes on now on one easy platform, sees where the property is located, can grab your listing, can look at the virtual tour, can take all the photos that you've selected, and you get the option to choose which photos you want. So if they take 150 photos, you narrow it down to 50 photos, you choose which photos you want. So we love that, because what I'm suggesting is that when you're working with a photography services company, make sure they have a landing page where you can drag a whole bunch of things in. So we can actually now bring our YouTube video onto that landing page as well, which gives us one more instance to promote it. So, and then I can take that landing page and I can email it directly to any prospect. So it not only gives me just the listing, it now gives me my a virtual tour of the home, which is different from a virtual open house. It allows me to install the virtual open house in there. I can put the Royal LePage corporate marketing brochures in there, all in one lump sum, and email them in one easy way to my client. How much, or prospect, how much easier does it get than that? And how much more professional does it get than that, right? So
into perspective, let me just run through this from the perspective of a buyer. So I'm a buyer. I'm not committed to a realtor. I've been looking on realtor.ca or on whatever website I'm on. I've narrowed it down to about 5 or 6 different properties that I'm interested in. I send out emails to all of those listing agents going, hey, can you tell me about this? What do you have? Like, send me your stuff. And like, out of 6 realtors, 5 of them are going to be sending probably the MLS.
a listing.
They're going to log into Matrix or Treb, and they're going to send it off to their client, maybe a couple of comparables. And they might even take the extra time to write a nice email saying, hi, Ben, it was really nice to talk to you today. Here you go. That's probably the most of what the average realtor is going to do. And then the one email that I send to the Melissa Cescon team, and I'm getting this back.
Yes, in one link as well. You go on and you get a landing page. It's got all of our contact information. It's got everything you need to know about the property. It's got essentially it's got the listing, the details of the listing presented in a variety of formats. So it's really great because if the buyer only wants to look at pictures, doesn't want to read through anything first, they've got their visual. They've got all the photos. They can go through a virtual tour. Then they go, oh my God, there's a virtual open house. Okay, let's look at the virtual open house. Oh my God, there's a corporate brochure that I can flip through, and the nice, beautiful storybook look. Again, very professional. You can put your logo on anything, so you can add your logo to any part of the digital program that they're going to be looking at. What it does is it elevates your brand. It shows the prospective buyer that you are a subject matter expert in what you're doing. It also shows them that if they were to ever sell their home, this is what they get when they're it. So let's not look at it just them being the buyer. Let's look at them potentially being a seller. They're thinking about buying, but they haven't even sold their home yet. And wow, they get all this all in one umbrella. How cool is that? So yeah, be the awesome person that you are. And if today's the day that you're going to fool around and try a video and see where it's going to go, well, then just go do it. Because honestly, you will be amazed and surprised how much support you will get and how your viewers will react positively. That's the other lesson too. We're so worried about it won't be received. People are curious. They're going to get.
People want to know.
If somebody is going to look at your live video and go, ugh, then they were never going to be your client anyway, and they're not worth a spot on your database. I mean, it's that simple, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, closing words, what do you guys have to suggest for realtors who are out there wondering how they're going to keep their business going over the next couple of months? What is something that somebody can do today to provide themselves with as much opportunity as possible to keep working?
Alex?
Well, first, watch this video. Pick up some great tips and tricks in order to educate yourselves on different types of platforms to get virtual. We need to be virtual more so now than ever. People really are going to so many different platforms in order to see you. So as long as you're open and willing and spreading everything that you have to offer virtually, it will get recognized and people will start to see the connections of where they're continuing to see you. And just ask questions and don't be afraid to get behind the camera in your own home or the comfort of your own peers, and just practice. I mean, your personality will really shine. And like we said before, people really want to see that as you're going through your new listing and showcasing a beautiful home around that as well.
I totally believe that we're all in this together. We are a Royal LePage family. So if someone's starting out and they are really nervous, Alex and I are happy to talk to anybody, and I'm being serious. So please let everyone know that. You know, I talked to an agent yesterday who said she was doing her first virtual tour and or virtual open house. She was very nervous about the whole thing. We talked it through, and you know, she's a colleague that I see at open houses often and stuff like that. But she called me out of the blue. Would have never expected it. And you know what? Just to be able to share a little bit with her instilled some confidence for her, and she's going to go try again this weekend. So you know what?
I love that about our brokerage, that we've got people like you guys that always have your doors and your phones and your emails and your PMs open to wanting to help other people elevate their businesses. There's enough business to go around, even in this time of uncertainty. There's enough business to go around, and we can only get better if we do it together rather than separately. And I really appreciate that in both of you. And for anybody watching, I can attest that Alex and Melissa are extremely approachable and always willing to help.